Own the Road with Kelli and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last. Coming up on this episode...
Hi, we're Kelli
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination. Hi, and thanks for joining us for this episode of On the Road with Kelli and Bob. I'm Kelli Phillips.
And I'm Bob Phillips. Next year, 2026, is what, Kelli?
Well, it's the 250th birthday of the United States of America.
Correct. But it is also another important birthday. It's the 100th anniversary of what's probably the most famous road in America, one of the most famous roads in the world, Route 66.
That's right. It was 1926 when Congress approved the road that would take people all the way from Chicago to California. And that road became an iconic piece of Americana.
And that's the reason we celebrate it here this week. We'll start not at the starting place, though, but not even halfway through the route in Missouri. And that's because it's there that we found the town that it was at least part of the inspiration for the famous movies about Route 66, Cars. In case you've been living under a rock, or you're just not a movie buff, Cars is an animated film series set in a world populated by anthropomorphic vehicles. It's an incredible example of personification because, well, you find yourself believing the cars and trucks that are the stars of the show are real, with actions and emotions just like ours. Pixar Studios and Disney did great work on Cars.
The first movie in the series came out in 2006, followed by sequels Cars 2 and 3 in 2011 and 2017. And those three films alone have created more than $1.5 billion in box office revenues. Then there's the merchandising, with more than $10 billion in sales during the first 5 years of the franchise. And the whole thing is set on Route 66.
All right, the reason we're giving you all this background is because that little 13.2 miles of Route 66 that cuts through Kansas was an important inspiration for this mega movie franchise, with the town of Galena, Kansas sitting at the epicenter of it all. That's where we met Renee Charles, who runs the restored Canotech service station, along with her sister, Melba Rigg.
Okay, so you're in Galena, Kansas, and the reason why we are here is because that old rusty, big old, we call it a boom truck, because Galena is a form of lead, so we were a lead mining town back in the day. Michael Wallace is an author, but he is the gentleman that wrote the book, The Mother Road. And so, from what I understood, he was hitchhiking back from the Marines and headed back. He's from Missouri, and so it inspired him to write the book, The Mother Road, meeting the people, seeing the places on 66. And so that's why John Laster called him, is because he said, I know you know everything about 66. And so he asked him to show his Pixar animators that. And they walked up our main street, and they saw this old International that's parked closest to the building here, parked against this building over here. And Joe Raft, who was the head of story, found him and was looking at him. Michael said he came up behind him and said, man, that truck's got character on it, Joe. And he said, it sure does. So it inspired him to make Tow Mater from that truck.
So that's the inspiration,
That
right
is the inspiration,
there.
Yep.
That's right. The inspiration for the vehicle named Tow Mater, often called just Mater, came from an old rusted tow truck found parked outside this former service station in Galena, Kansas. That truck is still sitting there, and you can go by and see it for yourself. And if you haven't seen the movies, well, Mater became quite the star of the show.
Oh, man!
Hook 'em up, Mater.
Where am I? You're in Radiator Springs, the cutest little town in Carburetor County.
So these days, Renee spends her time showing the original Tow-Mater truck to tourists that stop by from all over the world.
Well, right now he's a big bird's nest. See all the birds? They really make a mess of it.
So this vehicle right here,
This old International is the inspiration for Tow-Mater. So he was parked against that brick building and had a tree growing right up through the boom, as you saw in the picture. And so they assumed, I'm thinking, that it was a tow truck like the tow truck here, but it actually was, we call it a boom truck, which is pretty much a tow truck. You're pulling things.
and this is the inspiration for
Tow-Mater.
Tow-Mater in the movie Cars.
In the movie Cars.
And selling burgers and souvenirs to those same tourists, all while educating them on why the 13.2 miles of Route 66 that cuts across Kansas is so alluring, and why Galena was so important to the success of the movie Cars.
Tourist season usually starts in April. I have a lot of foreigners start, and there's a lot of tour guides that have gotten to be a close friend of mine. So we get a lot of people from Norway, a lot of people from Australia, Germany is a lot. And I'm amazed how many foreigners I've already have coming in. Right now it's people from Spain and Brazil, and they say this is usually their time that they take vacation. But it starts in April and probably goes all the way to August, depending on the weather. And hopefully it'll be bigger and better this year because, 2026 is when we have our centennial, and everybody's doing all kinds of new stuff.
What is the love for 66? Because like you said, you've got so many people that come here, they lay in the middle of the road, they take pictures of all the signs. We've done it.
I've done it. I've done it
this morning.
Yeah, I've done it. I say for people from the United States, it's memories. It's the mom and pop cafes. For me, it was I always remembered the teepees. I always, even when I was little, and the dinosaurs, the Grand Canyon. Those are things that I remembered as I was traveling and the closeness that we had as we was traveling. So I think it's just the memories or the nostalgia. My mom's from Joplin. My dad was from California, and they divorced when I was 2, so she would take a little Volkswagen Bug, throw me and my sister and brother in it, and we would drive 66 all the way to California to visit that family. And 66 was the safest route. So, I got to see all the cool icons before some of them disappeared. But I really didn't get it until my husband was in the military and we were stationed over in Germany. And one of his friends was dating a little German girl. And she said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Oh, I'm from Joplin, Missouri." And she goes, "Route 66. And she was more excited about it. Every one of the foreigners say it's a dream of a lifetime. And so I just asked one guy one day, "Why is it a dream?" And he said, you can get America all in one travel. You get the mobsters in Chicago, and you get the cowboys and Indians in Kansas, Oklahoma, and in Missouri, and then you get the movie stars and everybody out west, He said, so it's all inclusive, and it's such a trip.
Renee, do you realize how many of your memories are tied around Route 66 now?
Yes, especially I got 2 Volkswagens in that building that they both need to be fixed. My kids bought them for me, so hopefully when I'm 66, they'll be done. So yeah, just memories of 66.
Now, Route 66 was originally designed to encourage the westward migration of Americans, a road that would take them from the Midwest all the way to California or whatever stops in between they wanted to go to.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you could do that in reverse, but generally when people talk about stop number 1, they're talking about a place in downtown Chicago, Illinois.
And what a place that is. In fact, we fell in love with it so much that we make excuses to go back anytime we can.
Is that what we call it, excuses?
Yep.
Well, it's called Lou Mitchell's, and it's been there longer than the famous road itself.
My name is Audrey. I'm born and raised in Chicago. I was born at Weiss Hospital, which is on the north side of the city. and I've lived here my whole life. We've never moved outside of the city. So when a person says I'm from Chicago, I really am from Chicago, not from the suburbs of Chicago.
Are you the only one left?
In
Who's
Chicago?
really from Chicago?
You know what? I believe so. I believe so. Me and my sister and brother and I believe so. We're the only 3 left. No, but that's true though. People will say I'm from Chicago. And, oh, where do you live? And they'll say in Naperville. I'm like, that's not Chicago. That is not Chicago. If you don't live in the city, that's not Chicago. But yes, born and raised here. 100% true Cubs fan. Sorry, White Sox. Sorry, born on the north side of the city. Thank you.
That's Audrey Colon, the manager of Lou Mitchell's Diner, an iconic restaurant in downtown Chicago that is just down the street from the beginning of Route 66. It's known worldwide as Stop Number 1.
Lou Mitchell's predates the road that made it famous, opening almost 2 years earlier. But its history is tied to Route 66, like peanut butter is tied to jelly. The two just somehow go together.
Audrey hasn't been here since Lou Mitchell's opened, of course, but these days it would be hard to prove that by the customers because a few folks remember a time before she was here. And to think, she only took the position as a temp job that was supposed to last 6 months.
Okay, so when I officially started working, I always had jobs as a teenager. I did the McDonald's thing and the Dunkin' Donuts thing and the roller skating thing. But when I really started in the restaurant business was 1981. I managed, I waitressed, I did everything.
After lots of experience in the food business, Audrey Colon was approached by an acquaintance who asked for her help.
So he says to me, my wife needs some help. Well, my wife owns Lou Mitchell's, and she really, really needs someone to come help fill in for 6 months while one of her girls was on maternity leave. So I said, only for 6 months, because I'm not going to do this after 6 months. I'm not going back. And I've been here ever since.
Can you tell me real quick what that is up there?
That is a salmon benedict with hash browns.
It looks amazing.
Yes, it is amazing. We also have eggs benedict with the ham, and then we also have the Florentine with the spinach.
What do you think the number one seller here is?
Omelets. Everybody loves our omelets. Yes, they love the omelets because it's served in a skillet. It comes with hash brown and toast. And I also love our pancakes, too. We have very good pancakes.
I've heard a lot about your pancakes.
Yeah, very good pancakes. Regular pancakes, blueberry, strawberry, pecan, banana. Very good.
That's the voice of that waitress who was going out on maternity leave when Audrey Colon agreed to cover for her, but only for 6 months. Audrey tells us that she came here because you were taking a 6-month leave and she was only going to be here for 6 months. Now, how old is your child that you had?
My child is 17 years old, and she's still here.
Why do you think she stayed?
It could be the atmosphere. It could be the restaurant. It could just be everything. It's a combination of everything.
Is this a family in here?
Yes, yes.
Why did you stay after the 6 months?
I was close with everyone. I just enjoyed it. I loved meeting the people. We get a lot of tourists here, people from all over the world. If you come to my house, which you're invited, if you come to my house and you look at my refrigerator, customers have brought me magnets when they've come back from other countries. And I'm like, I don't even know where some of these countries are, but they've brought me magnets from everywhere you could think of.
You've become friends with your customers.
Exactly. We have customers who send me letters, who send Christmas cards, who, we take pictures with all the time. And that's how most of the staff is here. We are known, if you go into our, thing for reviews and stuff, the most friendliest, nice people. We have our days. Don't get me wrong. We have our days. Right. But for the most part, that is one of the most important things about this restaurant is the courtesy and the way you're treated here.
When you look around and this place is full, what percentage of the people are probably regulars?
I would say at this point we're at least 60 to 70% still.
Regulars.
Yeah, this gentleman's a regular.
So you know these
His
people.
wife won't feed him, so he eats here.
So these people become family.
Yes, so he comes in, I don't even ask him what he wants to eat, I already know.
You already know what he wants.
Yeah. He got eggs over easy with a cup of coffee and some toast.
How long have you been coming in here?
Since I was a child. I think my first diaper change was done downstairs.
Why do you keep coming in here?
the smiley faces of the service.
Lawrence Legas has been coming to Lou Mitchell's since he was born.
The service is good, the food is outstanding, and they're consistent. And additionally, you have tables where you could just sit at tables and you meet people.
And the way we serve it and the way we give it, and we like presenting our food. We get excited about it. We're like, what should I order? Let me surprise you. I tell people that all day long. Let me surprise you.
What's the most favorite thing?
Omelets and pancakes are probably, and French toast. Those are signature items. And then we do a really good lunch. Our chef, who's been here longer than anyone, he makes all that kind of stuff. Our soups, everything, our chili's homemade, everything's just done with a lot of care. We want to make an impact. We don't just want you to come in and have an omelet or pancakes. We want you to say, let's go back there. The service was amazing. The food was good, but the service, was amazing.
On the surface, Lou Mitchell's is a diner in a city with a lot of choices for where you're going to eat. It's famous because it's stop number 1 on the also famous Route 66. And if they wanted to, this Chicago establishment could get by on that and that alone. Serve so-so food in a rush way. The tourists would probably still keep it alive.
But that's never been the goal for this place or for the people who work here. They are the ones that make Lou Mitchell's special, the ones who keep the locals coming back time and time again because they love it. The food is great and the service impeccable.
But they offer one other thing that you don't find that much anymore. A sense of belonging, a feeling that you're much more than a customer, that you truly are wanted and appreciated here. You are family.
Audrey Colon says that special feeling probably started with Lou Mitchell himself, who often wondered why so many people were crowded into his little diner.
He was very much into the customers. He, I believe, and I never worked for Mr. Mitchell, I wish I would have, he, I believe, is what made this atmosphere the way it is. They said he used to walk around the restaurant and say, doesn't anybody go to work anymore? He would yell it out and stuff like that to the customers and, make a joke kind of out of it or whatever. And people remember that. People that are regulars will come in and say, I remember. They tell us stories. I remember Mr. Mitchell saying, doesn't anybody work in this place? Get up and go to work.
And that atmosphere is something Audrey has worked to keep alive more than 100 years later.
Mitchell says, why are you not at work today? Why is everybody out? That's my first question. We'd like to thank you all for coming, though, and spending this Friday with us. As you probably know, Lou Mitchell's, we are currently celebrating our 100th birthday, so we appreciate it. We'd like to thank you all for coming out and spending this time. On behalf of myself and my staff, thank you for all the years. Thank you, everyone.
Going all the way back to the late 1920s, the town of Tulsa, Oklahoma, has always celebrated their piece of Route 66. It's something that just fit in with the culture of that town.
And today, the folks in Tulsa still embrace the Mother Road and what it has meant to their town. In fact, there's a guy there who is so much a part of today's Route 66 that we rarely meet anyone along the road who doesn't know Reese Martin, who some people in several states call the president of Route 66.
I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I live today. Most of my life has been spent right here. Grew up, had a very loving family, went right into the workforce, didn't go into college, and then in my late 20s, I found myself in a place where I wasn't totally happy with where my life was. And I was kind of a late bloomer when it came to questioning the values I had that came from my parents. Like, is this really who I am as a person? My politics, all that kind of stuff.
Reese Martin was like a lot of us who at some point or another in our lives find ourselves questioning what life is all about. The difference between Reese and most of us is that he decided to do something about it.
And so I thought, you know what? I need to reset. So I left my job of 7 years, sold everything I owned, and then backpacked internationally for 10 months.
You sold everything you owned.
Everything.
You started over, literally.
I did. And so like cashed out the little bit of 401k I had with AT&T and just left, lived out of a backpack for almost a year.
And what'd you find when you did this?
Well, the poetic answer is I found myself. I found a love for history. I found that no matter how different cultures are on the other side of the world, there are things that tie us together. I found a love for photography and writing. So I came home having met so many amazing people, seen so many amazing things, and realized I'd spent nearly 30 years here in Oklahoma and I'd never paid attention to our history, where I came from.
And Reese was absolutely right about that. The story is here, right here where he was born, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, especially since this town happens to be in the center of some pretty big things that are going on that are right in the sweet spot of what Reese Martin is all about.
You see, Tulsa is, and always has been, one of the most eclectic, interesting, and important spots on old historic Route 66. And lately, this town has completely embraced that history and is doing great things to exploit its claim as the capital of Route 66.
Now, this famous road was built and promoted for the express purpose of encouraging Americans to go west, or at least to explore the western part of our country. In the early days, that meant people traveling in Model A's, Model T's, and the like. But Reese decided that for his travels along Route 66, well, he'd kick it up a notch.
Right around that same time, my father passed away unexpectedly. And so I inherited his 2005 Mustang, which was his baby. Loves that car. He had one payment left. And so I had to make a decision. Am I going to put it in the garage and polish it, or am I going to drive it? And I'm proud to say it now has 225,000 miles on it.
You drove it.
I drove it.
Good for you.
And it's been on Route 66 from Chicago to Santa Monica, the whole thing.
If you ever plan to motor west, travel my way, take the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66.
It wasn't until 2013 I took my first intentional trip on Route 66. Drove up to Miami, Oklahoma, in the northeast part of the state. Now, it's Miami, not Miami.
That's right.
And I tell people Miami was founded several years before Miami, Florida, so they're the ones that aren't pronouncing it correctly.
There you go.
But I went up to see the Coleman Theater, which is this amazing 1920s era vaudeville theater that has no business being in this small town. And it's got a great story. But it really opened my eyes, what else is on this highway? So, within 2 years, I'd traveled all of Route 66, and I started meeting the people on the road that make it special, the business owners, the passionate roadies that go out to events and meet up with each other, and realized it's a family. And I asked that fateful question, well, how can I help? I've been president of the Oklahoma Route 66 Association since 2019, and I also currently represent the National Trust for Historic Preservation and their National Route 66 program.
Get your kicks on Route 66.
Tulsa is known as the capital of Route 66 now because it's the home of Cyrus Avery. Of all the people that came together in the 1920s to help design the entire federal highway system back then, Cyrus Avery was the one that stood up and said, if we establish a single road that starts in Chicago, goes through St. Louis, and goes all the way out to the Pacific Ocean, this is going to be the strongest commercial corridor in the country. It's going to connect all these towns together, and it's going to be a huge driver for economic development and tourism and all these things. Of course, he wanted it to come through his town of Tulsa, his adopted hometown, went right by his service station, which I'm sure was a coincidence. But because of that, and because he founded the very first Highway 66 Association, Tulsa has now kind of grasped that title, capital of Route 66. And that association, that original one, was encouraging towns to pave the road, to make it a true all-weather highway. Tulsa has always had an important place on Route 66. Tulsa, I wouldn't call it a big city, but it's bigger than most of the small towns that Route 66 goes through. And that's really the strength of this highway, is it takes these little towns that otherwise wouldn't have had all of this traffic, all of these people coming through it. And for so many decades, Route 66 was the way west. If you were going to west for a better life during the Dust Bowl, you took Highway 66. If you were going to see the Grand Canyon after World War II with your family, you took Highway 66. And of course, the interstates eventually came along and bypassed the road. But In most cases out here, Route 66 is really close. They followed that path. Route 66 had a very formative role in establishing travel patterns heading west from the central part of the country.
Route 66 is more than just a road. It's a national symbol of what America is, at its core, all about challenge, exploration, discovery, and freedom.
And here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, just like dozens of other places along this famous road, locals and visitors from around the world have found a front row seat to watch and be a part of the wonder of this iconic symbol that is so loved by all who experience it.
Reese Martin thinks the story of how this road started out and what it has become is nothing short of amazing.
About 20 years ago, the city of Tulsa sat up and said, Route 66 has been here this whole time and we haven't really been paying much attention to it. And so the city passed a master plan with their planning office to take advantage of that. So that brought improvements to the road, that brought Cyrus Avery Plaza down by the Arkansas River where you've got a nice statue of him, and some incentives to help grow business on the road. So now when you travel down Route 66, you've got a ton of neon signs which have been made possible by a neon sign grant. We've got a facade grant program here that encourages property owners to restore their buildings to what they might have looked like back when they were originally built. And you have a lot of people that have bought into the Route 66 idea. So it's all really come together to where when you drive Route 66 in Tulsa, it feels like an intentionally developed corridor. And it really is. And then of course Pixar's Cars came out and that taught that story to a whole new generation. I love talking to travelers about that before they start their trip, because I'm like, even if you've seen Cars, watch it just before you leave. Take your trip, and then watch it again when you get home, because it's really a documentary. These characters are based on real people. These locations are directly lifted from the road. It's just incredible. It's a love letter.
Thanks for staying with us. Okay, this last story this week takes us to Route 66 as it passes through New Mexico on its way to the Santa Monica Pier in California, which is considered to be the last stop on the famous road.
Here in New Mexico, you'll see signs and buildings that looked the way they did in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Many of them have remodeled, but with an eye toward preserving the past.
And one of those spots is in the famous Route 66 town of Tucumcari, where Dell's Restaurant celebrates the people and the traffic this road brings. Route 66, the Mother Road. On the surface, and by the way, that surface was made up of a lot of different materials, from dirt to gravel to asphalt to brick or concrete. It is just a U.S. highway that started in Chicago and stretched all the way to Los Angeles.
But Route 66 is so much more than just a road, no matter what that road was made from. Yes, it was designated by the federal government as an official highway that could take you from the upper Midwest to the California coast. But even that was done for a much greater purpose than simple ease of travel.
When you put it all in perspective and think back to how this nation began with the original 13 colonies that would one day become 50 states, well, exactly how is it that the population of our country spread from the Atlantic to the Pacific? Well, it took some encouragement to get people to cast their fates to the wind and move. It happened after the Louisiana Purchase, after the Lewis and Clark expedition, after the acquisition of Alaska. In each case, people were given, incentives to go west, eventually expanding our country from coast to coast.
And it happened with Route 66. In this case, it was more a sense of adventure that was attached to the road than anything else. But there was also hope for a better life, especially after the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, and World War II came along, shortly after Route 66 officially opened in 1926.
That sense of adventure and hope for a better life still exists today, though the meaning of each of those things has slightly changed over the years. Today, that better life might be something as simple as a desire to return to a different time, a different pace, a different set of priorities. That's something Chase Waters knows all too well.
I was born in Amarillo, Texas. I lived there for a very short period of time, and I was 2 months old whenever my mom moved here to Tucumcari, where she was originally from. A little bit further back on a little backstory, her father owned a gas station here in Tucumcari called Adcock 66 service station. We have some Wintel stuff in a glass case here at the restaurant with a bunch of stuff from the station. We have a pickup truck of my grandfather's. It's a F100 unibody 63 that was always there at that station. That we have it across the street at our station right now. It's inside. But we have quite a few people that will come in and they'll recognize that truck from being down there, and that's a pretty cool thing. Grew up here in Tucumcari, New Mexico. My mother was a school teacher, so I was always involved with whatever was going on there at the school.
Couldn't get away with anything either, could you?
No.
Because all the teachers knew your mom.
Back whenever I was in school, before I got from the middle school or high school back to the elementary school, she had already gotten an email of whatever I had done or not done, and so she already knew about it.
Chase Waters was one of those kids who couldn't get away with anything. Not that he particularly wanted to, but if he had, well, that just wasn't going to happen. Not in a town the size of Tucumcari, where your mother teaches all your friends and knows everyone in town. No, Chase was destined to grow up and be a good kid.
Halfway between Amarillo and Albuquerque, Tucumcari claimed itself to be a logical stopping point on Route 66 not long after the road was established. Shops, hotels, and restaurants sprang up along the route, and the town fully embraced its role as a Route 66 mainstay. Long after the road was officially decommissioned, 66 still plays its part here in this town. Chase Waters even went to work at one of the famed Route 66 roadside diners.
In my high school years, I wound up working here at L's whenever I was 14. My first job here was a host and busser, and I looked around at the servers and was like, I would go crazy if I ran around like they do, and I would never be able to do that. And Renee, one of our servers that's been here forever, finally talked me into becoming a server, and she trained me to be a server. That was almost 20 years ago now. Loved that. I left the restaurant world for about a year after I graduated high school and hated it. Special kind of crazy person to love the restaurant world, I think.
After high school, Chase tried other jobs. He clerked at a hotel and installed shutters and blinds for his cousin. But the restaurant world kept calling his name. So he spent a few years getting experience at established eateries, then formulated a plan.
Remember that longtime waitress in Tucumcari that trained him? Chase would see her again.
Whenever I went back to the restaurant world, I spent time between Darden and Brinker, so Olive Garden, Cheddar's, and Chili's for about 10 years. Learned a lot of what to do and a lot of what not to do. That was a great experience. Whenever I was here as a high schooler, I definitely wouldn't be where I am at today if it wasn't for the owners of Dale's restaurant. They taught me a lot about any business aspect, really. So Dale built the restaurant in '56, operated it for about 10 and 15 years or so, and then sold it to his secretary, Jessica Brazil. And Yvette and Yvonne are Jessica's daughters, so she passed it on to them. Then I bought it in 2021. It was always my dream to own a restaurant.
You got it. Chase left Tucumcari, got a lot of good experience in the restaurant business, then returned to become the new owner of the same place he worked in high school. A dream come true for some, possibly an awkward situation for others.
You bet. But what about Renee, that longtime server who trained Chase when he was just a kid? How did she feel about now working for her understudy? You started working here in high school. Renee, who's been here more than 30 years, trained you way back then. You come back as the owner. How did that play out?
She was excited about it. 33 years is how long she's been working here at Dell's. We have quite a few long-time employees. I have a cook that's been 21 years, dishwasher for 21 years as well. I have a lady that's now a cashier. She was a server. She's been here right around 30 years as well. Her mother was a cashier here whenever I was a server. Whenever I purchased the restaurant, everybody was asking me, what are you going to change about the menu? I added a few dishes, but we didn't change anything on recipes or anything like that. The old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. That's what I tried to go by. And it's worked so far. Chicken fried steak is what we're known for on the American side. We have a new menu item called Mama Martha's Meatloaf, which Mama Martha is my mother. On our breakfast side, our handheld on-the-run burritos are very popular. That's one of my favorite and go-tos as well, that and the chili rellenos and eggs.
Chase Waters grew up here in Tucumcari, left for a while, then came home, where he says he belongs. He's now in charge of not just a restaurant, but an American icon, a roadside attraction and a piece of our country's history, Dell's Diner on Route 66.
He says he plans to keep on doing what's worked until the day comes when he can't do it anymore. And even then, Chase has a succession plan.
We're not going to be changing anytime soon. My son, Aiden, is 4 years old, and he loves coming down here, and he thinks he's working. He'll try and host and take somebody to the table, and he kind of gets sidetracked by X, Y, and Z. But fingers crossed, he'll wind up taking over the restaurant. So I know that he'll keep it the same. If not him, I got a daughter on the way. Maybe she'll want to do it.
And we want to thank you for listening to this special Route 66 edition of On the Road with Kelli and Bob. Why don't you go over to Facebook and Instagram and like and follow us? You can also go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. That way you don't miss any of the behind-the-scenes footage. Now you can listen to On the Road with Kelli and Bob wherever you get your podcast. But the easiest thing to do, go and download that free Odyssey app. Listen anytime, anywhere.